So, one of the things that we've found that works really well to help incorporate family discipleship in our family is a weekly worship night. And this is where you come together as a family and you turn on worship music. It can be something fast and fun, or it can be something slow and worshipful. But essentially, you're just worshiping together as a family. And we've been doing this probably for about 2 years with the kids, and it has grown, and we've seen them grow as they watch us worship and as they experience us praying for them, or us coming together at the end and talking about what the Lord spoke to each of us. They've really developed in their prayer language and their questioning of, well, why do we do this, and what does that mean, and that kind of thing. And at the beginning of the year, we began to invite other people into this family time that we had. And so one of the things that we do is we allow them to play with toys or with crafts or painting or coloring or something like that. Because kids experience the Lord completely different than adults do, ready to experience Him. And they can do it while they're painting or while they're coloring or while they're playing. It just kind of tailored to the kids as to what works the best. And so we started incorporating that into our worship nights and reminding them that worship is not just about singing and dancing or praying, but that you can worship at any time. You can worship in whatever you're doing as long as your heart is directed at the Lord. And so we've kind of been developing that and experimenting with that. And it's been going really well until last night.
Well, I think it didn't go poorly last night. It's just last night we started to realize what was happening. And like Ashley said, we found a lot of great benefits to doing this worship time with the kids, because our goal is to worship like we would if it was just us or just adults. We do what we feel is appropriate in response to the Lord, and going after Him in that moment. And it's been able to allow us a good way to teach the kids about hearing God's voice and what to do with that, and allowing them to experience some of those kinds of things that maybe they wouldn't if we weren't doing that at home, which has been great. Up until lately, like Ashley said, we started feeling like we needed to encourage other families, bring them over, let them participate with us, kind of teach others how to have this same experience at home. And so in doing that, we had to kind of come up with some kind of idea to allow us to have a bunch of kids in our home at the same time, and what to do with that. And so we started kind of creating some structured activity areas in our home where they would be with us and near us and their parents, and we could communicate and keep an eye on them, and we'd give some boundaries. But what we did was we opened up a lot more activities for the kids to be able to do while we were worshiping. And so what we noticed for our own kids now is that as we step back, and now we haven't been able to have people over, it's come back to just us doing family worship together by ourselves, that our kids aren't really wanting to engage anymore in the worship and prayer the way they had been doing. Just recently, actually, we included them in us in making a big family decision by using worship and prayer, and they were actually asking to do it with us. And so the problem that we kind of came up with last night, what think the problem was, is that where we wanted to incorporate things for them to allow them to learn how to worship in different ways that fit for them, same as with adults. Not all of us worship the same way. Not all of us feel moved by the music the same way, or to respond the same way. So we felt like we should take that and kind of give our kids some freedom to explore that as well. And what that's led us to, from a hurdle standpoint, is trying to jump over a hurdle that's probably a little too tall. Now we're gonna have to try to take some steps backwards in getting a little more intimate again, and getting a little more. This is what we're here for. Try to refocus them on the prayer part and the listening part, and away from the what keeps their mind busy part, so much so that we can get them back on track. And the reason we want to get back on track is obviously not because worship has to look this way, but because we want to be able to, as a family and our kids, to even be able to set a good example and to be able to teach and model and show other families and other kids what it looks like and how to balance it.
Right. So I think it's important to remember why we're doing what we're doing. It's not just to worship. I mean, that's part of it. But the whole point is to disciple the kids and to help them to learn how to engage in that relationship with their father. For it's easy because we are when you're one-on-one with someone, you can look them in the face and talk to them. But with our father, it can be difficult to really try to get into that relationship, get into expressing how you feel or how you feel about him. And so I think that that's the whole purpose of having a worship night. It's discipling the kids and teaching them, why we are doing it. And so I think we've gotten lost in the activity of it, right? We as Christians do that all the time. We get lost in the activity of doing the work of the ministry or doing the work of worship or the words that we're saying instead of thinking about why are we doing this.
Yeah. And I think that's what we found is it works easy. It's if we give them some kid appropriate entertainment, it allows us to worship easier. Allows the adults to have a little bit more time because they're entertained in a way. But we've got to make sure we're aware of where the entertainment line and the purpose of the activity, the purpose of the time spent is with the Lord. And so in talking about this last night after we had a worship night in our home, we realized that maybe we've kind of crossed a little too far back into the entertaining and forgot the purpose of knowing the Father and seeking His voice. So that's that.
Yeah, so I think, to get back to the basics, what are the basics? The basics are intentional time as a family seeking the Lord. And so maybe that is just one song. Maybe that is just prayer and not including song or activities.
And letting them pick the song.
And starting there. So I think that for us, as we move back into this very intimate family time of worship, that we think about the why are we doing what we're doing, and go back to the basics, go back to the simple things when dealing with the kids.
So if you don't already, give family worship nights a try with your family. Keep your expectations low, and remember the purpose is to show your kids and to spend time with them and the Father at the same time.